We're all here. So with that, I will call to order the City Council. It is Monday, April 20th, 2020, and this is our first attempt to do a council meeting completely by Zoom. So please excuse some of our ins and outs here. We're going to see how this works, and it's going to be a learning opportunity for all of us. With that, I would like to ask our city recorder, please call roll.
Mayor Clark.
And here.
Councilor Reed.
Here.
Councilor Freeman.
Here.
Councilor Parsons. Councilor Herrera.
Over here.
Councilor Smith.
Here.
Councilor Cole.
Yeah. You hear me?
Well, good evening, everybody.
I'm here, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Parsons. Normally, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If I stand up, all you're going to see is not a whole lot. So I'm not sure exactly how to navigate that one. So I just want to go ahead and go on to the next item on our agenda. I have to do that one through for next time. Okay. Okay, so our first order of business is a proclamation for Volunteer Appreciation Month. As we all know, over these last several weeks, a lot of the work that's been done by people in our community have been driven by incredible volunteerism. Normally, we would have a presentation here at City Council, and it would be Volunteer Appreciation Month. But due to the incredible work by our community, we are going to be declaring Volunteer Appreciation Month. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas a basic ingredient in the foundation of the city of Keizer is volunteerism, upon incorporation in 1982, the motto was adopted: pride, spirit, and volunteerism. Almost every facet of this community is supported by volunteerism. And whereas many citizens of this community contribute to the well-being of fellow residents and the welfare of all citizens by giving generously of their time and energy, and whereas many volunteers assist the city of Keizer in performing a multitude of duties, often providing services that may be reduced or non-existent. Many of the volunteers serve in an advisory role in City Council and our boards, committees, and commissions and task forces. Whereas volunteer response to the 2020 coronavirus has helped save lives, support and care for neighbors, and successfully adapt to rapidly changing circumstances. And whereas the City of Keizer values each and every one of many volunteers and wish to extend our deepest appreciation to all. And whereas the ongoing situation with the 2020 coronavirus pandemic will continue to be met with a strong volunteer commitment of the people of Keizer throughout our city. Now therefore, I, Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Keizer, together with the Keizer City Council is assembled in regular session, hereby proclaim the months of April and May 2020 as Volunteer Recognition Month, and ask all the people of Keizer to express their thanks to the many volunteers who help continue to serve in our community. The witness word I here to accept my hand across the seal of the City of Keizer, 20th day of April 2020. So I would ask that each of us find a volunteer to appreciate, to send a card and note and email, and let's keep supporting each other as we always have in the city of pride, spirit, and volunteerism.
Kathy, I think you need to either pull your earphones off because we have an echo.
I've got tremendous echo.
Yeah, if you could just talk into your laptop like we did last night, just take the earphones out.
I've got,
Oh, you have echo in the room?
oh my gosh, the whole room.
Can we shut that door? Okay. Kathy, can you give us a sound check real quick?
Sound check, 1, 2, 3.
Is that better, everyone? Her audio, no more echo?
It's a little better.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting a huge echo. Are these microphones on? They shouldn't be? Okay. All of a sudden, I'm not echoing, so this is really nice. All right. Hearing me once is enough. All right. Let me get to my regular agenda here. Committee reports. We don't have anybody who has submitted any reports. So city councilors, you'll be reporting. There's not much at this point. It's mostly things coming up. Public testimony. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for a public hearing. We have one public hearing scheduled for tonight, which is the Development Code Text Amendment, Section 2.203 and Section 2.312, relating to backyard chickens, ducks, and standards for fencing. Did anybody, Tracy, send in any public testimony that they want read into the record at this time? And I'm getting a no. Okay. So with that, we will move on to our public hearing. I will open the public hearing and ask City Manager to please get the staff report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, the world. Okay. On March 11th, the Planning Commission held a public hearing to consider the amendments to the Development Code that currently restrict the number of chickens allowed as an allowed use to 3. Council basically initiated the text amendment process to consider upping that number to 6. While we were in that chapter of the Keizer Development Code, there were a couple of other things that needed some housekeeping measures, and that was basically some fence and allowing language for fencing. So since it's in the same chapter, we dealt with it the same, and even though fences aren't related, it's all a part of that exact same chapter of the Development Code. So we prepared a recommendation for the Planning Commission. They held a hearing. They received public testimony.
She's really quiet.
She's on her laptop, probably.
She's standing on some books. I mean, it's pretty close.
So, David, you probably need to mute yours.
Sorry.
And so the Planning Commission received testimony from 3 separate individuals. They were all supportive of it. A couple of individuals provided testimony that wanted to expand that to include such things as, and Marlene, you need to mute yours too. This is harder than it looks, I got to tell you. Anyway, so there was testimony received that wanted to address several different aspects of it. However, some of the issues were broader than we had put in notice, and that we were receiving direction from the council. And so if the council chooses to take up some of these other issues, we recommend that you initiate a separate process to look at the entire agricultural uses as appropriate in all of our neighborhoods and that sort of thing. So back to the proposal before you, basically which the Planning Commission recommended unanimously, is to allow up to 6 chickens. As part of the testimony, we received some very expert testimony, and the individual has also submitted a letter which you have also received. And I don't know, Madam Mayor, if you want me to read that into the record, I would be happy to do so. But, so up to a total of 6 chickens and or ducks. However, no roosters would be allowed. we would clarify the requirements for coops and that a runway is required. In other words, chickens still need to be maintained. We believe that, and the Planning Commission is recommending to you that owners need to be able to rely on not having individual supervision of chickens at all times, but that they would have a runway where they would allow them to run. We would also recommend reducing the setbacks for coops. We would eliminate the requirements for actually obtaining a specific permit. Currently, we do require a permit.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Currently, we do require a permit. However, it's been our experience that it's proven to be because the only way that we have had to go out to address issues is by a complaint basis. Then the last point is we would also include language to address animals required to be allowed, which are required to be allowed by federal or state law. In other words, service animals. As far as the other changes, we are recommending that we allow a 4-foot tall wall or hedge to be located adjacent to a street. Currently, it is 3.5 feet. And the reality is you can't go to the home improvement store and buy 3.5-foot fencing. So we felt that it would be appropriate to raise that from 3.5 feet to 4 feet as it would serve the same purpose. We would then regulate the height and location of hedges which are adjacent to streets, which is consistent, would be consistent for the fences and walls. And we would modify language which currently reference building permit requirements. And we also have some clarifying language regarding the requirements for barbed wire and electric fences. I mentioned the entire concept of allowing for other animals, such as goats, llamas, etc. Bees actually were mentioned. However, we would recommend that council, if they choose to take that issue up, that be convened under a separate process. So with that, I would be happy to entertain any questions from the council. Madam Mayor, would you like me to read in this testimony that was received, or how would you like to handle that?
Everybody should have gotten a copy of this testimony from Erica Arcibal, who provided testimony in favor of the text amendment that we're talking about tonight. And she also testified at the Planning Commission. This text will be available online with our packet afterwards. So rather than read the whole thing into the record, did everybody on council get a chance to get this email?
I read it.
Go out to everybody?
Yes, I read it.
Okay. So it went out to everybody. So, her conclusion is that ducks and chickens have benefits, and she said, I believe that the facts support the city code. Many people today are interested in producing eggs at home for their families, and I believe having ducks as an option for egg laying in addition to chickens would allow citizens to have an option to save the Planning Commission time by potentially reducing the number of complaints to the office, ducks not flying into neighbors' backyards, and also providing citizens with healthier egg options. So that's how ducks entered the conversation. It was not part of the original, but it came up during Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission did recommend adoption unanimously. So with that, councilors, does any of you have questions on the staff report? Councilor Reed, go ahead and make sure you unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, yeah, I just wanted to make the point that a lot of the homeowners associations do have policies against ducks and livestock of various sorts, and so this change to our code would not affect the homeowners association rules. So I just kind of wanted to make that clear, because I know I had heard some conversation that some people in homeowners associations were worried that this would change things for them, but they have their own set of codes with their own sets of rules and their own sets of enforcement. And this is the city law, and then the homeowners associations take and make their own rules kind of above and beyond for lots of things. So I just wanted to make that point.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. This homeowners rules are not affected unless there are provisions in those homeowners rules that are specifically illegal. However, this does not alter homeowners association.
Any other questions by city councilors? I'm looking for people raising their hands. I can see most of you on the screen there. All right, seeing none. That was the only public testimony that we had submitted. Anything else before we close this public hearing? All right, I didn't see any other hands go up, and I didn't see anything coming up in the chat. So if anybody wants to raise their hand and I didn't see you, please go into the chat and say, hey, I've got my hand up. Going once, going twice. All right. Close the public hearing. Council President Freeman, would you put a motion on the table, please?
That would be only if I just lost my other screen with all of my agenda and everything on here. So I should have taken Tracy up on a printed packet, so I apologize.
Not a problem. Would you like Councilor Parsons to put a motion on for this one?
I think I've actually got it. I found it. As my husband comes in the door because he's listening out in the other room. So actually, let me get back to my agenda. There we go. Sorry, I'm trying to navigate two different screens, so it's a little challenging at home. So I move that the Keizer City Council adopt the text amendment change to section 2.203 and section 2.312 relating to backyard chickens and ducks and standards for fencing.
To direct staff to prepare an ordinance with those findings? Is that correct, Council President Freeman?
Yes, please.
Okay. Councilor Rivera, do I have a second?
Second, as stated.
Is from? Okay, second. Any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Councilor Parsons.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So I am going to vote against this. I don't think that we should raise the limit of chickens. We had someone that had 3 chickens. They tear through the wood fences. They make a lot of noise. They're not very neighbor friendly. I'm sorry, but in a subdivision, they're not very neighbor friendly. 3 to me is too many, but I would go for 3, but I will not vote for 6. I will not vote for ducks. They do quack, they make noise, dogs bark, and it's a constant nightmare. So I'm going to vote no on this. Sorry.
Anyone, any other discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So, thank you. I just wanted to echo some comments that Nate made about the people, our Keizer citizens that came and spoke at the Planning Commission. We had really good turnout from Keizer residents who currently have chickens and are very supportive of increasing the chickens to 6. but then also adding ducks, and for various reasons, as far as a food supplement to their food supply, and the nutrients of duck eggs versus chicken eggs, which was something new to me. But it just really was nice to have people that have chickens and who would like ducks, who are very well educated on their care, and really made some really good suggestions that the Planning Commission took into context when they made the recommendation. So I really appreciate their testimony. Thank you.
Very much. Any further discussion? Let's see, that's that. Councilor Kohler?
Madam Mayor, I was contacted by 4 different people about the chickens in the last couple of weeks. Out of those 4, 3 of them talked about how that would be great. In fact, one of them said, I'm going to start selling eggs. And so I had to explain to him that that wasn't part of the code change. And so anyway, we'll see how that works. I had one person that was against it, and they talked about some of the diseases and such that chickens can bring. But I think as long as they're cared for properly, I think that's probably okay. But I did have some concerns from some people.
So I'm sorry, Councilor Kohler, I was not able to hear much of anything of what you said, unfortunately.
I couldn't hear him either.
Pardon? Councilor Rivera?
I couldn't hear him very well.
You couldn't hear either? So,
Let me try again. Are we there? Are you hearing that? Are we hearing stuff okay?
I'm hearing a little bit. Yeah, I'm not hearing you very well, unfortunately.
Yeah, hold your mic real close to your mouth, Dan.
Yeah. I'm holding the microphone really up close if I get.
So I was contacted by 4 different people about the ducks and chicken. 3 of the people, are you hearing me okay now?
Yeah, better.
Okay, 3 out of the 4 people were in favor of them, and one of them even talked about how they wanted to start selling eggs. And so I explained to him that the text amendment did not allow for the sale of eggs on a commercial basis or fertilizer or other things. And they kind of looked at me and said, well, we'll see. So that may be a problem down the road. But I did have one person that talked about how there were different diseases and such that can come from eggs, so from chickens. And so I think as long as we're making sure that they're cared for properly, I don't think that's a problem.
Very much. Councilor Smith, did I see your hand up? No? Okay. Anyone else? Councilor Herrera?
I was contacted by a couple chickens. No, actually, I know a couple guys in Keizer that own chickens, and they're pretty, I read through the material. It's all well written. I like the way they're controlling, and it's pretty well with the runway, and that makes sense. The 4-foot thing, that's just normal. I mean, that's what you buy. They did a good job, and I guess growing up at a farm, I guess it's I'm not biased, but that's how I feel.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Either raise your hand via chat or make sure I can see you on the Brady Bunch screen. All right. Hearing no additional discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
I made it.
I didn't hear Kim nice loud.
And opposed? So we have,
You don't have to turn the hose on.
motion passes 6-1 with the no being Councilor Parsons. Did I get that correct, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody got the vote tallied properly. Very good. Okay, we just did our first public hearing via Zoom. Yay us. Okay.
Chickens.
Chickens. Of course, it was about the chickens. All right, let me get back to my agenda. Whoops. That's not the right one. There it is. I've got 3 screens going as well. Okay, let's go to administrative action. Item 8A is the Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association Annual Report. City Manager.
Okay, and if Jose is okay. Madam Mayor, in June of 1993, the City Council adopted Ordinance 93-257, outlining the purpose and guidelines for recognition of neighborhood associations. The ordinance states, in order to obtain recognition, the neighborhood association shall make an annual report to the City Council. The report may be submitted in writing or orally at a City Council meeting. Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association President Patty Tischer has submitted the attached written annual report, and it is recommended City Council accept the report and by motion extend recognition to the Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association for an additional year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report? Looking for anybody raising their hand? Right, Council President Freeman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council adopt the Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association annual report and extend recognition for the Neighborhood Association for another year.
I'll second that.
The moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council accept the annual report of the Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association and extend recognition for the Neighborhood Association for an additional year. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much. That will take us then to item 8B, which is a resolution adopting eligible project to be used by city for funds received from county under intergovernmental agreement for community prosperity initiative. City manager, and everybody should have gotten the amended version of the resolution that we will be discussing. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Brown.
So, as you will remember, we have entered into an agreement, an interlocal agreement with the Marion County, who wishes to distribute some of the funds that they have, economic development funds that they receive through lottery dollars. They have made available to all cities within Marion County an amount of $15,000 for 3 years, for a total of 45. We can aggregate it. We can do as we choose to do. As part of that effort, the county has asked us to identify our priorities for economic development activities. And as you will probably recall, we gave you a list, which is included in the staff report, of things such as the whole list. So after discussion with ourselves and the city manager, we broke those out in what we consider to be high, medium, and low. Mind you, low doesn't mean that they're not important. It just means in relationship to what we think these funds could be spent on. Of the high category, what we're recommending is that we establish a process to grant small business grants and loans. We have not identified what that would be in this staff report. It would come through other efforts, but nonetheless, to apply these funds to small business as they are dealing with the issues brought on by the pandemic. The other high priority would be to make development ready, or at least more development ready. Probably a better term would be to say make it marketable. The property owned, the city properties that we do own, currently they are in a difficult situation. I'm thinking of the property up by Keizer Station. It has a lot of fill. It's got a lot of debris on it. It is difficult to deal with. In the medium category, we would suggest tournament town, sports facilities, development and support. And in the low category, again, these are not unimportant projects, but they are things that we think that these funds may have limited applicability under the current situation. And that would be the revitalization plan, public investment list, the food truck pod on city-owned property, consultant services to create an urban renewal district. That in and of itself, though, doesn't even belong on the list, since if council chose to do that, those funds could be borne by the actual district itself. And then maintaining or applying these funds to some of the tasks that are going to be necessary for an employment land UGB expansion. So with that, I think I will turn back to the city manager to discuss the specific resolution and what he believes the emphasis should be for these funds.
All right, thanks, Nate. So in discussing this as staff, the one item that really came to the front was to create these small business, either grants or forgivable loans that would augment or mirror the PPP program out of the federal government. So the payroll protection plan. So basically a small local business would be able to apply for up to $5,000 to help provide payroll assistance in making payroll. We understand that $45,000 isn't gonna go a long ways. We believe that it will, though, potentially make a difference for up to 9 different businesses in this very difficult time, as we wait for the state's economy to open, which is hopefully ramping up. Maybe within the next 30 days, next 45 days, we should be able to get parts of the economy back open again. So the hope is that that the best use for these funds would be to get them back out into our business community as quick as possible and try to provide an opportunity for, as many as 9 local businesses to keep a couple of folks on payroll. So basically, instead of creating jobs, we want to retain jobs in this community. And that seemed to us to be an excellent use of these funds. So that's kind of where we all ended up, and that's where I'm hoping the council will go to. Thank you.
Very much. When I read this resolution, there was no doubt in my mind that this was a good use of the resources that we had been given, where we can have an immediate impact on local small businesses. And as Chris said, retention is the most effective way of growing an economy. It's nice to recruit new businesses, open new businesses, but we know from experience that it is retention and growth right here at home that has the biggest return on investment, both financially and for the strength of our community. So that's why I was delighted to see this proposal come forward. Questions from counselors? Either indicate you want to say something on chat, or Dave, can you give me your Brady Bunch look? All right, so I can see everybody's face. All right, anybody have questions or comments on the staff report for the use of these funds? Councilor Smith.
I think the staff made a really great recommendation. I fully support it. I think that would be the best use of the funds at this time, and I think that the community would appreciate it. So I think we're good.
Thank you. Councilor Herrera.
I also echo that, and if I missed it, because I'm having trouble hearing, have you, how do we choose the particular businesses, 9 or whatever it is? Did I miss that part? Because I am having trouble hearing.
No, we haven't quite gotten there yet. We within this next couple of days, we'll develop the criteria. One of the thoughts was to coordinate with the Chamber of Commerce and, have them help us select the businesses. But I have no doubt that we can create a very straightforward program with minimal restrictions very quickly. The trick is going to be getting the word out into the community, and that's where I think the chamber can really help us.
And I would point out that the Latino Business Alliance is a partner with the Keizer Chamber of Commerce, so they will be also involved in this discussion of how to get the word out to our community of businesses. Any other comments or questions? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
That's a lot better.
Let's see how that works. But $45,000, that gives what, 9 businesses we can help?
Yep.
Out of the hundreds of businesses we have to select 9 of them to help. Okay.
Best we can do.
It's a start. Anybody else? Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know it sounds, and I do believe it's a start. I just want to make sure that not only the chamber, but other sources, and you make up some of that, my concerns, because the chamber does not represent all businesses in Keizer. Like Councilor Kohler said, it's not very much, but I consider it a start. Thank you.
And I know that the chamber has been working with members with businesses who are members and who may not be. They are working to get across the entire landscape of businesses. So they're not making membership in other of their outreach a requirement for being able to participate. And also the partnership with the Salem Chamber, SEDCOR, and the Latino Business Alliance is helping strengthen the collaboration. But I think your point is well taken to make sure that this reaches a very broad spectrum of businesses. Anyone else?
Councilor Reed.
Councilor Reed, thank you. You're on mute.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to bring up, and this came up at the coffee with Kathy as far as Jonathan Thompson, who represented the Keizer Chamber of Commerce, made the point that businesses should be reaching out to their banks to be able to access these PPP funds, which I can't remember the acronym right now, but that's where the real help is going to be. Yes, we can augment that with $5,000 for business, but the PPP is the program that is really meant to provide support for these businesses, and you would talk to your bank to be able to get that information and get those applications. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. That's a good reminder to our business community. Jonathan also pointed out that if you're contacted by a third party that would like to help you do either your payroll protection program or the other program, which is through the Small Business Administration, to politely, or maybe not, hang up and go directly to the bank or to the Small Business Administration. There is no charge. These programs have rapidly ramped up, and to please go directly to them so you get the right information and you don't end up where you don't expect to be. Was that nicely put? There's scammers everywhere. Anybody else? Mr. Upley, and then Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Something else to pay attention to is through the PPP. So the Small Business Administration on the statewide call through the League of Oregon Cities last week mentioned that some underrepresented businesses are having a difficult time getting a hold of those funds because they don't necessarily regularly do business with banks, and that's the method that was utilized to get those funds out into the community. So there are some banks who are choosing to only do business with existing customers because they already have those relationships built. And it's very difficult for very small businesses or those that don't utilize the formal banking system regularly to get those funds. So the Small Business Administration mentioned that if those difficulties are being had, to go right through the SBA, because they do have banks on their list that have guaranteed that they will do business with new customers. And so they are out there, but you just have to pay attention to the fact that there are some constraints to very small, underrepresented businesses for getting a hold of those funds. So utilize the SBA, go directly through them, and they will get you to the banks that will do business with you if you're having a difficult time obtaining those funds. Thank you.
Mr. Brown? Nate, did you have your hand up?
Oops, sorry. Anyway, I just wanted to share from the newsletter of the Chamber of Commerce that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has also launched a small business support grant program as well. So, and granted, I know the Chamber doesn't represent all businesses in Keizer, but that's another avenue. So there are everybody's concerned about it, and there are resources out there. So just the message is talk to people and find out how you can avail yourselves.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else, comments, questions on this, this proposal? Council President Freeman, would you like to put a motion on the table?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I move that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2020, adopting eligible project to be used by city funds received from county under intergovernmental agreement for community prosperity initiative.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2020, adopting eligible project to be used by city for funds received from county under intergovernmental agreement for community prosperity initiative. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And we look forward to hearing back, City Manager, on how this works and how we can be a part of helping. We appreciate this. That takes us to item 8C, which is, there we go, establishing a no parking zone on Claggett Court Northeast. City Manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Chris. Madam Mayor, Council. The remodel of the addition to Mineri High School required the development of sports fields on the property access from Claggett Court Northeast. The development of this property required the full width improvement to Claggett Court be completed as part of the public improvements for the project. Staff and the city engineer determined as part of the conditional use granted for the high school remodel and addition project that in order to ensure emergency access was maintained at all times, establishing a no parking zone on the south side of Claggett Court was necessary. While the full width of improvement to Claggett Court, which is 32 feet from curb to curb, allows for parking on both sides of the street, having vehicles parked on both sides of the street would impact the ability for emergency vehicles to access the Avamere Care Facility located at the west end of Claggett Court. The proposed no parking zone will be identified with signs placed on the south side of Claggett Court Northeast from the intersection of River Road North to the west and will include the bulb of the cul-de-sac. There is no fiscal impact with establishing this zone, as the signs will be installed by the school district's contractor as part of their project. Staff recommends the City Council consider the matter and adopt the attached order designating the no parking zone on the entire south side of Claggett Court Northeast from the intersection of River Road to the west, including the bulb of the cul-de-sac. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from City Council? Anybody? Is that Councilor Reed? Councilor Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I just wanted to, I really like that this is being done now with with all the other remodeling because once precedents are established as far as where to park and where not to park, we know already how challenging that can be around the high school. I really am appreciating that this is done congruent with the opening of the campus as a remodeled entity. So I just thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on the staff report? Looking. Okay, seeing none. Council President Freeman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council adopt an order designating no parking zone on south side of Claggett Court, Northeast Keizer, Oregon.
Was that a second from Councilor Herrera? I lost your sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, and Kim was extremely loud compared to everybody else. I can hear her really loud, and I second that, yes.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt an order designating no parking zone on south side of Claggett Court, Northeast Keizer, Oregon. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That takes us to item 8D. There we go. Ordinance amending the Keizer Development Code. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Chris, Mayor, and Council. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. So this is coming back from March 16th, which seems like a very long time ago to me. In any event, these are some changes mainly having to do with accessory dwelling units or ADUs. The changes are on page 47 of your packet, which just changed the width measuring on lots from 45 to 60 feet with regard to landscape trees. And then the other changes on page 50 and 51, I believe. And what that did was change the access easements to allow for ADUs to be on access easement lots. So with those changes and at the direction of council, we prepared this ordinance for you tonight, and it's for your adoption. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report? Okay, seeing none. Council President Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance amending Keizer Development Code regarding Section 2.302 Street Standards, amending Ordinance 98-389.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance amending Keizer Development Code regarding Section 2.302 Street Standards, amending Ordinance 98-389. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, that takes us to item 8E. Regarding the state of emergency, ratifying the city manager amendments to declaration of a local state of emergency in the city of Keizer. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Chris, Madam Mayor, and Council. You may recall that at the direction of Council, Council ratified the city manager's previous emergency declaration. And between that time and now, the emergency declaration could have been extended by the city manager without council action. However, after discussion with the department heads, the city manager determined it was appropriate to amend that, and since it's amended, it has to come back for council. So the main changes, if you look at page 55 or 56, I guess, is the city manager's declaration, which you're amending. I have to say, by the way, this is really hard with bifocals, just letting anybody know in case you're having the same problem. The change is to allow the state of emergency to be effective until April 30. The city manager, without council action, may extend it for up to three 2-week periods without council action. Anything further would require council action. And then on the next page, to make clear that public meetings, which were totally canceled before, can be allowed by the ad hoc committees and boards if the chair determines there's an item that's urgent and requires attention. In such case, though, the meeting needs to be by electronic measures such as Zoom and social distancing modifications. In addition, it makes it clear, of course, to continue on with city council meetings, taking all the precautions necessary that we've done before and are doing tonight. And finally, the events in the community center was determined that we'll just tie that to whenever the emergency declaration is in place. So while the emergency declaration is in place, there still will be no future events at the community center. So with that, those are the changes that were adopted by the city manager, subject to your ratification, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Are there any questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands go up or text chat saying that you have any questions. Council President Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2020, ratifying the city manager's amendment to declaration of local state of emergency in the city of Keizer as a result of COVID-19 pandemic.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2020, ratifying the city manager's amendment to the declaration of a local state of emergency in the city of Keizer as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Let me get back to my agenda here. Bookmark. There you go. Come on. And that concludes our administrative action. Next on the agenda would be our consent calendar. Council President Freeman, would you please read the items on the consent calendar?
Sure. Tonight we have several items on the consent calendar. Oh. So I have a note that says start my video. Okay, there we go. We have several items on the consent calendar tonight. Items 9A are a resolution authorizing city manager, sorry, I just lost my phone screen here. City manager to enter into towing services contracts 2020. 9B is a resolution authorizing the city manager to award and enter into an agreement with North Santiam Paving Company for annual street resurfacing project. 9C is a resolution authorizing the city manager to award and enter into an agreement with KNE Excavating Inc. for Shoreline Drive and Cummings Lane storm drain reroute project. 9D is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Cascade Waterworks LLC for McNary Pump Station modifications. 9E is a resolution authorizing the Community Development Director to apply for funds for the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development for an update to the buildable lands inventory / housing needs analysis. 9F is a resolution adopting donation and naming policies for Keizer Parks, repealing Resolution R 96-894, R 2 R2006-1750 and R2009-1917. And finally, item G is approval of the April 6, 2020 City Council regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Are there any polls? And I will be pulling item 9G, the regular session minutes. Any other polls? Councilor Herrera, was that a hand I saw? No? Okay. Anybody have any other polls? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, Council President Freeman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the consent calendar, I move this Keizer City Council approve the consent calendar items 9A through F.
I second that.
The consent calendar A through F has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I just had a couple of small things from the minutes. One was the Community Prosperity Initiative was for payroll protection grants. I think there was a reference that was, I'll have to look at the line it was on. I didn't write the line down. Criminally. I will get that to Tracy. There was a line in there about the payroll protection. Oh, that was what it was. What happens when I'm doing it and thinking about some Community Prosperity Initiative for payroll protection? Oh, never mind. That wasn't something else. I'm sorry. On the minutes, Councilor Smith was absent for the second vote. It was after that she was also considered present. So that's one change, because it only shows Councilor Parsons absent on the second vote before we made the change. So there'll be one correction. And then under my report, it talked about that I was urging people to support nonprofit organizations. There were a couple of adjectives in there, and they were to support known local nonprofit organizations. I've been trying to encourage people to make sure that they know who they're donating to, and not some, somebody pops up and says, "Ooh, I can help, bring world peace." Give to the people we know. So that's, I believe, if I remember correctly, what I was talking about. So that would be a second change to the minutes. So Councilor Smith, absent for the second vote, and then just add those two words in about supporting known local nonprofits. So those are the only changes I'm suggesting for the minutes. Okay. Anything anybody else noticed on the minutes? Okay, Council President Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move item 9G, the approval of the April 6, 2020 City Council regular session minutes as amended.
Second that.
Sorry, I just went off my page here. Silly me. Item 9G, the minutes from our last council meeting, April 6, 2020, were moved and seconded as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Go back up here. And whoops. Hello, computer. Good computer. There we go. If you have to speak nicely to them so they do what you want. Council liaison reports. Gee, I don't have an end of the row to start on. So how about I'll go down alphabetical or something like that, or maybe random. How about I start with Councilor Reed?
Okay, thanks, Madam Mayor. It's been a very interesting world in the past couple of weeks. Most of my efforts have been involved with trying to get the distance learning for all happening with the high school, but also across the district. That is a big push, and we're not getting nearly the participation that we'd like to see at this point. So if you have kids or are related to kids even, and are able to lend a helping hand at trying to get them engaged with this online learning. And most of all, it requires a schedule, because a lot of families you need to schedule different times for computer use, and sometimes the internet backs up and so forth. So scheduling is a really important part of this, and it's an all hands on deck kind of situation to get these kids supported and get them through, because this is a real challenge from the school perspective, and we're trying to make sure that we are treating everyone equitably and that everybody has what they need in order to be successful. So if you have any questions, please contact teachers, administrators. Everybody is more than happy to help with this effort. So, so that has been my life these past couple of weeks, but it was interesting to see that go into action on last week. The other things that I've been involved with, I joined the Coffee with Kathy discussion, and that was really lots of really great information. Kathy, you did a fantastic job of gathering people who know about various aspects that people are interested in, and I really appreciate hearing from those. And again, just really appreciate your very thoughtful leadership during this difficult time. Some other things that I was involved with last week is the Keizer Heritage Foundation meeting, taking care of the Keizer Cultural Center, and that was the biggest thing that came out of that is making sure that we have a new lift in order to satisfy ADA requirements, Americans for Disabilities Act, and that's such an important part of our community, that Cultural Center hub. And also the Keizer Homegrown Theater has pushed back their Steel Magnolias until July. And so we're trying to readjust that season to make sure that we are considerate of everybody's needs and accommodating fears, I suppose, and just making sure that everybody's ready to get back to normal in a sensible sort of way. I am sure that Roland is going to talk about this, but I just wanted to bring up the Latinos in Action Community Scholarship event. I'll let you talk about that. I just wanted to make sure to know what time it was. So when you do talk about that, make sure, because it's on my calendar, but I wasn't sure of the time. So other than that, nothing else.
All right, thank you very much, Councilor Reed, and good luck to you and all of your students. Thank you for helping everybody make this incredible pivot to distance learning. Councilor Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My big thing right now is the Charter Review Committee. We are having a limited public forum tomorrow via Zoom, and we are trying to get information from the community on 4 points that have been left open to determine whether or not what we should recommend to the council should have any of these items changed. These items, I'm going to actually put them on my Facebook page, but they are going over, councilors currently are elected at an at-large, meaning they're elected by registered voters of the city. A ward system selects councilors from a specific geographical area of the city. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer at-large, or do we prefer the ward system? We want to get some feedback from the community on that prior to sending this off. So we are at the stage where we need to have that information coming in. We actually have set up a email format. It's charterreview@keizer.org. So people can just email in that information. Hopefully they can visit that information prior to tomorrow, so we actually have it available for that meeting. The other couple areas are how people are elected in head-to-head elections, and also as far as the term that they would be serving in. So that's really my hot topic. I'm going to try and push as much as I can to get the information, because the next stage is to go to the council. And it may just come to the council as it sits right now, and then we revisit these things with a public forum with the council. It's just that we are up against a pretty tight timeline in order to get this to the ballot. So we are going to keep moving on it at this point. And if there is someone who has something that they want to say, I definitely would appreciate having those emails to us by tomorrow. And other than that, just everybody continue to stay safe and listen to the people around them that have authority as far as, opening back up and getting back to whatever normal may look like. I've just encouraged people to be very careful, but being cognizant of those around you. You might feel good, but other people could get sick. So please continue to do those things and chime in on this charter review. It's very critical, and it's not something that we can slow down on.
Thank you very much. And to Councillor Smith's point, we've had some requests that we press pause and wait a little while, but this is not the only bite at the apple. This is going to be one of several opportunities for people to comment, to participate. So in that regard, this will just be one of many, and we want to make sure that we open up as many and as frequent opportunities as we can for charter review to happen and for people to engage with what they have in mind. So I appreciate the concern about not everybody has access to the internet, and that is true. And we will have in-person opportunities for people to comment as well. If people have written comments, we absolutely encourage that to happen. Email, or it can be dropped off in writing here at City Hall. Just let Tracy Davis know that it's being dropped here. So all of that can get to the committee. So thank you for everybody's hard work. 9 very dedicated volunteers who have been going through line by line in our city charter. So great work. Thank you so much. How about Councillor Parsons?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I ask 2 questions first? One of Councillor Reed. So Laura, have the teachers been required to call each of their students that they've had in their classrooms to see what kind of help they might need in trying to do this distance learning thing?
The superintendent did ask that every student get contacted. What that looked like at the high school was we have our advisory classes, which is kind of like a homeroom class. And so we have around 25 kids. And so we were responsible for calling all of those kids. I'm sure that looks different at the elementary, and elementary, I assume that they were required to call their kids, and I'm not sure about middle school how they worked it. But yes, we made an effort to contact every student, and we weren't 100% successful because of difficulty with phone numbers and just getting through to people. But we made, I think that first week where that was our main goal, was to make contact. We made some 95,000 calls through the district phone system, and we have 42,000 kids. So, so we really made an effort to do that, and and there's lots of different forms of communication. Every teacher has a sort of an online phone number through the district, and so those are available. We also have Remind. The high schools using Google Classroom. And some of the lower grades are using things like Seesaw, and so those are also communication platforms as well. So we're trying many different things and trying to get as many kids as we can. And even going around the neighborhood, I hollered at kids around the neighborhood saying, "I need to talk to you." So there's that too.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to get that out there so people knew that you guys were making those attempts. And Councillor Smith, could you talk to us about how the census is going, and are they going to delay the door-to-door knocking, or do they know how many people have turned back their things yet? Do you have any information on that?
Kathy, on that, Mayor Clark, do you have more information? Mine's been a little bit more limited just with the charter review. I know that they have pushed it back. And, but Kathy, could you chime in on that?
I'd be happy to. There's a map that you can go to that has updated information about the participation rates that have been occurring in each of our counties. So the good news is that over half have already responded. So yay us. We're on that, we're doing okay with that, but we really need to get everybody to go ahead and complete the census. They have pushed back door knocking for obvious reasons, but it will happen eventually, or have to. So if you want to make sure that you're not among them, or if you really want to help out, just get on and take care of those 9 questions. You don't even have to have the code. You can just get in there and say, I didn't get it, don't have it, whatever. You enter it manually, click, done. So really want to get it out there, but we are, last I looked, and it was maybe a week and a half ago, so the number is old, 52%. And so we're doing okay, but we need to keep on pushing that and getting it out there to people to go ahead and complete the census. Heaven knows people can be put to good use. Thank you for asking the question. How are you doing?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm doing good. So I had a Zoom meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, and as everyone knows, or if you haven't heard yet, instead of canceling Keizer Fest, they've actually postponed it to August. It's going to be I believe, the second week in August. I want to say the 12th through the 15th or something like that. That's what I want to say. Is that right? Thank you, Madam Mayor. And so more information will be coming out later. We don't know really what it's going to look like yet. Is it going to be the same? No, but you know what? It's going to be a new and improved, or it's going to be different, but it's still going to be Keizer Fest. We're still going to bring everybody together. We all hope by then that we'll all be able to come out together and be together. And we said, we don't know what that's going to look like, but right now that's the plan. So if anybody has any questions, you can direct them to the chamber, but that's the plan for now. Other than that, I haven't had any other meetings by Zoom other than that. So that's all I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Councilor Kohler. How you doing there, sir?
Oh, it's a tough deal. I'm missing my ice water that Tracy always does, but I'll have to get to that myself. I miss her already. So I attended via telephone the LOC meetings the last couple of weeks, and that's been interesting to see how the different things that the governor has put out, how it affects us, and as a city, they're talking about testing availability still, that there's more of that should be coming online, and quite frankly, I think that's the key to getting things started again. They talked quite a bit about how the numbers have plateaued quite a bit here in Marion County and in Oregon, and I thought that was really neat to see. Extra thank you to David Daly that helps put all this stuff together. I would definitely be lost without him. I attended remotely the Coffee with Kathy, listened to all of that, and put a couple of things on the screen, but that was certainly a different way to do that. I missed the Soggy Day in the Park this last Saturday, sponsored by the Claggett Creek Watershed Council. It's a bummer that we had to do that, but that's kind of what happens. And lastly, I wanted to express my appreciation to the staffers at the city that make sure that the residents of Keizer are served the best that we can, and they're taken care of. Without the extra work and effort that they're doing, we would be in a lot of trouble. And I just want to make sure that is expressed. I also had a constituent contact me about a matter that I reviewed with Chief Teague, and he gave me some direction on that, and that was resolved very quickly, and I appreciate Chief Teague taking care of that for us.
Very good. Thank you very much. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. I want to thank our charter review, Elizabeth, and those guys have done a great job. The whole committee has done a great job. Some of you have already gone over some of the things I had written. Councilor Kohler went over some of the webinar, some of the LOC stuff that we listened to. I had a whole bunch of boring web meetings also. The charter review, I'm concerned. Hopefully that comes through, and I wanted to participate, but it's going to conflict tomorrow with my our Latino event. But anyway, that's okay. And also a shout out to Dave Daly, because Dave, without you, I don't know how I would have even done this. So thank you to Dave Daly and all those folks, and also the staff and everybody, and also the guys at the bottom, at the public works, those folks who were never mentioned. Also, I did want to explain a little bit about the LAC event tomorrow. What we decided on doing, and I'm going to be brief about this, but we're going to follow the model that the school district did in handing out Chromebooks, believe it or not, in our handing out of scholarships and the monetary scholarship. So we've contacted 20 participants who are going to be, I should say, recipients, not participants, and they're all pretty excited. We've been instructed on how to do that at 6 o'clock tomorrow. We will be set up by the gazebo, and we're going to work into bringing them in, parking them, and calling them one by one, utilizing social distance. And I think it's very important that we get the funds for these students as quickly as possible, especially now that we're all kind of in this together. And the stories, I won't go into them, but the stories each student wrote, their plans and whatnot, their little bios were very interesting and very touching, I might add. And again, I want to thank this council, our mayor, and all of you folks who have supported this great cause we've been doing our third year, and we hope to continue that. And I did a few interviews in Spanish with Radio Poder, which is a radio, the strongest radio station, most powerful on Salem here in conjunction with CCTV. I did an interview there, and then I did another interview in Spanish. And one of them, I represented kind of Keizer, because I went over what the procedure was for any business to be held at City Council, at City Hall. And I said in Spanish how to go about calling in and getting the facts on how to every action. I actually gave the number and told how we can do that. And I want to thank Chris and all those guys that helped me with the information that I put out there. I translated in Spanish. I did actually three interviews, which is interesting. And also, the last thing I wanted to say is, there's been a lot of anxiety and angst with what's going on, and I just wanted to tell folks, especially in the Latino community, and if you don't mind, I like to say it in Spanish, quiero mandar un mensaje de esperanza para todos, porque todo esto va a pasar, y con la fe y con la ayuda de Dios, todo esto va a pasar, pero hay que tomar la distancia social muy importante, que se quede en casa. Gracias por todo, pero con paciencia. Todos vamos a llegar al otro lado. Okay? So I just wanted to say that in Spanish because I happen to know there's a few that got tune in. Also, thank you to everybody for. We all want to go out. We all want the same thing. We want to get out there, and I just want to message to everybody that we all want to go back to dinner, back to the going shopping, all of it. I want to make sure that this is very critical that we get it right, and I want us to all listen to the authorities. Don't listen to the crazy people out there. Listen to doctors and the medical community, and I encourage our community to listen to those folks. Don't listen to the crazy people on radio and stuff like that, because that's not the way to get this done. So I encourage our community to have
people will be able to tune in for that. And then on the 29th will be the Continuum of Care Collaborative Committee. We'll have a virtual meeting. This is the collaboration of nonprofits that provide services to homeless people in our community. And they also advise the board of directors for the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. And that board will be meeting again in May. And then on Samalka House, we'll have a virtual event on May 1st. And the wonderful people who live there and work there are just great members of our community. So tune in and learn about the work and the lives and our wonderful neighbors at Samalka House. As has been mentioned, budget will be on May 11th and 12th. The budget will be posted online. You'll be able to access that. And that is all I have right now. So with that, we will go to our city manager for other business. This time is provided to allow the city manager or others to address matters that are not on tonight's agenda. City manager. Unmute. Try again.
Hello?
There you go.
Okay. Tracy, what do you got?
She said she.
Nothing?
Yep.
Okay. Tim?
Madam Mayor, City Council, I'm still hopefully on track to have the budget done by this Friday. It's going to be a hard push, but I think we'll get there. It may not be 100% this year. You'll have to give me a little bit of grace as we move through the pandemic. With respect to some of the financial impacts, I did send out the memo last week. Really, at this point, I don't have a lot of additional data other than we're continuing to see water payments come in. So we were at about $42,000 of past due accounts. We're now at about $33,000. So we're even in the midst of everything, we're still seeing people making payments on water accounts, which I definitely appreciate. Also with municipal court, we're still continuing to see some payments come in. A lot of our collection activity has slowed down significantly for obvious reasons. But other than that, we're just kind of bearing the weather. The city is really fairly well prepared. We don't have a lot of the programs that are really being impacted that you're seeing in the newspapers. We don't have a lot of fee-for-service type of areas, and that's really what you're seeing hit the hardest right now. Is just no one is doing anything where you have to gather in groups. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them my way. If you want to stop by, I am in the office just about every day, as long as you stay 6 feet away until budget's done. That's it.
All right. Thank you. I have Chief Teague, who is listening by phone. I'm not positive that he can actually respond. I'm going to give him 5 seconds to do so. Chief, you have anything? All right. He does not or cannot. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Chris. Just a couple things. Councilor Freeman mentioned the annual water report. It's actually technically it's called the Consumer Confidence Report. Should be in everybody's mailbox. I received mine over the weekend. A lot of good information in there. Required information on our sampling for the year, and also some educational material, stormwater related stuff in there. So I encourage everybody to read through that. I just found out this afternoon the permanent traffic signal at the transit center entrance, it will be going active Wednesday night. They'll take down the temporary signal, that's the one hanging by the wires across the roads, and activate the permanent ones. I still don't know when the signal at Lock Haven, Shamawa, Keizer Station will be activated. I'm waiting to hear that schedule. That will also probably have to happen at night, hopefully within the next few weeks. The Delight Street project is moving ahead very nicely. Contractor tells us they're probably going to pave Friday, weather permitting. And the contractor on the ADA ramps on River Road's making good progress. That's about all I have unless there's questions.
Bill, I have a question for you. On the signal at Keizer Station Boulevard and Lock Haven, as you're heading south on Keizer Station Boulevard through Lock Haven onto Shamawa, there are 5 signal heads but only 4 lanes. Why is that?
That's because the through lane, or the lane that goes straight ahead, is required to have a backup signal head. Okay, it's a requirement for a through travel lane, so that if in the event that one signal head, the red light burns out, there's a backup. That's why. And if you'll see that in other locations where there's a single lane of traffic and there's 2 signal heads. That's why.
All right, that has baffled me for a long time, so thank you for helping.
You bet.
Let's see here. Mr. Brown.
Okay, so we continue to push forward, and we're making progress, although I have to say this remote stuff and people dropping off plans remotely, that sort of thing, does feel a little bit living in a fog, but we are, for example, preparing to issue the permit this week for the multi-use project that is next to the Sonic development on River Road. So things are moving forward. We still have not received our application for the master plan on Area D of Keizer Station, but we keep hearing it's imminent. I wish I could give you more information, but anyway, so things are continuing to operate.
Okay. And Shannon, to wrap it up. Shannon? We've lost our attorney. All right. Any questions from counselors for, oh, Shannon, were you there?
Yes, nothing from me. Thank you.
Okay, that was a lot for nothing. Very good. Any question from any city councilors for staff?
Yes, please.
Councilor Parsons.
Thank you. And this is a question for Nate. So I know you talked about Area D just now, but I've gotten out and like taken my car for a drive because that's about the only sunshine I see. But I see they're like building or doing something. So did we issue any permits at all, or are they just kind of like leveling the ground? They've got a lot of machinery over there working.
Yeah, what you're seeing out there is the revisions that they're making to the underground systems.
Okay.
They have public works permits. Bill, I don't know if you want to add anything, but so they have their erosion control permit. They are they're basically redoing what they had originally planned for their underground stormwater detention.
Okay.
And it was originally designed to be a surface retention basin, and they're putting it underground.
Okay.
All over property. So
okay, I was just wondering because it looked like they were really starting to do something, and we hadn't heard anything yet. So I was just wondering. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Kohler, did you have your hand up electronically, or?
No, I typed a question and Marlene asked it before I was finished typing.
All right, very good. Any questions from any other councilors before I bring it back to the mayor? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I do have one for Mr. Lawyer. I saw that we're doing the ADA ramps, and then we did a contract for paving. Are we going to get the restriping done with brighter reflection after this is all said and done, so we don't have the problem we did this year where we weren't getting reflectivity off of the new stripes on River Road?
At this point, I certainly hope so. Everything will be restriped, and I'll be working with the county here very soon to see if they've made any changes in their process, add some additional reflective material, or do something so we get a better product than we got last year.
That would be great. We have got concerns from a lot of people, and many of us experienced that as well. So we're going to want to make sure that we can see those lines and keep traffic safe. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Anything else, folks? Okay. I'm not seeing anything on chat or on the Brady Bunch panel. So written communications, I don't have anything additional to what was read as public testimony tonight. Agenda input, we will meet at 7 p.m. on May 4th in regular session. On May 11th, we will have the City of Keizer Budget Committee, and May 12th, we will also have a City Budget Committee. Both of those begin at 6 p.m. If we need a third night, that will be on May 14th. On May 18th, then we will meet again at 7 p.m. in regular session. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the order? I'm not seeing anything in chat. I'm not seeing anything, anybody raising their hand. So if that, the time is 8:44. Thank you all. I do want to say thank you to the technical staff who has helped make this possible. Philip, David, Tracy, John, and Bill, thank you for helping make this happen. It's our first full Zoom council meeting, and we will keep on working on making this work better and better. 44, ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned.